The Unthinkable Heist Forcing a Galactic Ransom. Chapter 1, The Serpent's Gambit. The inky blackness of the Kuiper Belt, far beyond the jurisdiction of the Galactic Concord, was a fitting canvas for the drama about to unfold. The Serpent's Kiss, a sleek, heavily modified frigate that belied its age, drifted silently, its cloaking device a shimmering illusion against the star-dusted void. Inside, Captain Razorclaw, his scaled face illuminated by the holographic schematics of OmniCorp Data Vault Sigma 7, addressed his crew. "Tonight, we strike at the heart of the Serpent," he rumbled, his voice a low, gravelly baritone that resonated with a hint of impatience. Razorclaw was a Draconis, a species known for their fiery tempers and imposing physical presence. But unlike his brethren, whose ambitions were usually fueled by territorial conquest and personal enrichment, Razorclaw was driven by a different spark, a burning desire for galactic fairness. His scales, usually a deep, intimidating crimson, seemed to shimmer with a quieter, almost philosophical fire. Around the circular command deck, his crew listened intently. They were, in a word, an anomaly. A motley collection of species that defied the often rigid social strata of the galaxy. There was Zara, a Sylphian strategist, her slender form radiating an almost ethereal grace. Her large, multifaceted eyes, usually sparkling with analytical brilliance, were narrowed in concentration as she studied the schematics. Sylphians were renowned for their strategic acumen, capable of predicting probabilities with unnerving accuracy. Next to her stood Grom, a hulking Krogan engineer, his thick, armored hide scarred with the marks of countless repairs and modifications. Krogan were known for their brute strength and unwavering loyalty, but Grom possessed a surprising aptitude for technology, understanding the intricate workings of machinery like few others. Flanking Grom was Lyra, a nimble Vesperian warrior, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with a soft, rhythmic glow. Vesperians were feared throughout the galaxy for their agility and deadly precision in combat, their bodies naturally adapted for stealth and close-quarters engagements. And then there was Kix, a diminutive but brilliant glimmerwing hacker, perched atop a console, their iridescent wings fluttering nervously. Glimmerwings were notorious for their exceptional hacking abilities, capable of weaving through complex digital networks like ghosts. OmniCorp is a parasite, draining the lifeblood of the galaxy, Razorclaw continued, his voice hardened with conviction. They hoard resources, exploit the vulnerable, and leave a trail of misery in their wake. Tonight, we hold them accountable. The vault's defenses are formidable, Captain, Zara cautioned, her voice melodious yet firm. Multiple layers of encryption, automated security drones, and a constant stream of surveillance. Indeed, Razorclaw acknowledged, his gaze unwavering. But we have spent months studying their systems. We know their weaknesses. We know their routines. We will exploit them. And if things go south? Grom grunted, his voice a rumbling tremor. Razorclaw's lips curled into a predatory grin. Then we fight. We fight until the Serpent is slain. The Serpent's Kiss plunged forward, its cloaking device fully engaged, slicing through the void towards its target. The raid had begun. Chapter 2, Dancing with Shadows. The approach to Data Vault Sigma 7 was a delicate dance through a minefield of sensors and patrol routes. Zara's strategic projections guided the Serpent's Kiss with pinpoint accuracy, threading the needle between potential hazards. Kix, their tiny fingers flying across the console, disabled surveillance cameras and rerouted patrol drones, creating temporary blind spots for the frigate to exploit. Inside the vault, the atmosphere was sterile and cold. Rows upon rows of servers hummed with stored data, the lifeblood of OmniCorp's empire. Laser grids crisscrossed the corridors, and automated turrets stood sentinel, ready to unleash a hail of plasma fire. Lyra, leading the boarding party, moved with the grace of a predator. Her Vesperian agility allowed her to navigate the laser grids with ease, her movements fluid and silent. Grom, providing cover, deactivated turrets with well-placed shots from his modified plasma rifle, his immense strength tearing through the reinforced plating. They reached the central data core, a massive sphere of gleaming metal protected by a force field. This was the heart of the vault, the repository of OmniCorp's most valuable secrets. "Kix, this is your moment," Razorclaw said over the comm, his voice tight with anticipation. Kix took a deep breath, their wings fluttering with renewed purpose. They plugged into the data core, their mind dissolving into the complex network of information. The force field flickered and died, and Kix began the delicate process of downloading the data. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Sweat beaded on Kix's brow as they battled against OmniCorp's sophisticated security protocols. The pressure was immense, the slightest mistake could trigger alarms and alert the entire station. Finally, after what felt like a lifetime, Kix pulled back, their wings drooping with exhaustion. "Got it," they chirped, their voice weak but triumphant. "All of it. The identities, the transactions, everything." "Excellent work, Kix," Razorclaw replied, relief flooding his voice. "Lyra, Grom, secure the area. We're leaving." The Serpent's kiss disengaged from the vault, its cloaking device reactivating, and disappeared back into the blackness of the Kuiper belt. The raid was successful. Chapter 3, The Ghost in the Machine. Back aboard the Serpent's kiss, the crew celebrated their victory, but Razorclaw remained focused. He knew that OmniCorp wouldn't take this lying down. They would retaliate, and they would retaliate with force. "Zara, analyze the data," Razorclaw instructed. "Assess the potential impact and identify any vulnerabilities." Zara worked tirelessly, sifting through the immense volume of information. What she found was even more damning than they had anticipated. The data contained irrefutable proof of OmniCorp's illegal activities, price fixing, market manipulation, exploitation of labor, and even the deliberate suppression of life-saving medical technologies. "This is explosive, Captain," Zara reported, her eyes wide with disbelief. "If this information is released, it will bring OmniCorp to its knees." "Precisely," Razorclaw said, a grim satisfaction in his voice. "But OmniCorp won't let that happen. They will try to silence us." His words proved prophetic. A few hours later, the Serpent's kiss detected a surge of energy emanating from the stolen data. Alarms blared as the ship's system struggled to contain the anomaly. "Captain, we're under attack." Grom shouted, his voice filled with alarm. "The data's corrupted. It's a kill switch." Razorclaw cursed under his breath. He had anticipated that OmniCorp might have a contingency plan, but he hadn't expected it to be this sophisticated. The kill switch was designed to overwrite the data, rendering it useless. "Kix, can you counter it?" Razorclaw asked, his voice tight with urgency. Kix frantically worked at the console, their fingers flying across the keys. "I'm trying, Captain, but it's a complex algorithm. It's designed to self-replicate and spread throughout the system." The situation was critical. If they couldn't stop the kill switch, their entire mission would be a failure. But Razorclaw had a plan, a gamble that could turn the tide of the battle. "Kix, divert the kill switch to OmniCorp's network," he commanded. Kix looked at him in disbelief. "Are you crazy, Captain? That's suicide. We'll be exposing ourselves to their entire security system." "Exactly," Razorclaw replied, a glint in his eyes. "While they're busy dealing with the kill switch, we'll unleash our own weapon." He activated a hidden program, a digital ghost he had been developing for months. It was a complex piece of code designed to infiltrate OmniCorp's network and siphon even deeper, more damning secrets. "Release the ghost," Razorclaw ordered. The digital ghost slipped into OmniCorp's network, undetected, a silent predator stalking its prey. It navigated the complex systems with ease, bypassing firewalls and security protocols. It was designed to be invisible, to leave no trace of its presence. And as the kill switch raged within OmniCorp's network, the ghost began its work, slowly but surely siphoning the corporation's most closely guarded secrets. Chapter 4: The Serpent's Ransom. Razorclaw contacted OmniCorp through a secure, untraceable channel. The message was simple: deliver life-saving medical technology and food supplies to the impoverished planets of the Kepler 186F system, or the stolen data, along with the new secrets his ghost was unearthing, would be released to the galaxy. The response from OmniCorp was swift and predictable. They refused to negotiate. They claimed that the stolen data was fabricated and that Razorclaw was a terrorist. "They think they can intimidate us," Razorclaw said to his crew, his voice filled with scorn. "They think they can buy their silence." He smiled, a predatory, Draconis smile. "They are wrong." He released a small sample of the stolen data to the galactic newsfeeds, a carefully chosen selection of incriminating documents that implicated OmniCorp in price-fixing and market manipulation. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The galactic stock market plummeted as OmniCorp stock prices crashed. Protests erupted on planets across the galaxy, demanding accountability and justice. OmniCorp was reeling, but they weren't defeated. They activated a hidden asset, a black ops team led by a ruthless former Imperial intelligence officer named Commander Valkyrie. Valkyrie was a legend in the intelligence community, a master of espionage and assassination. She was known for her cold, calculating demeanor and her unwavering loyalty to the Empire. She had been recruited by OmniCorp to recover the stolen data and eliminate Razorclaw and his crew. Valkyrie's team, composed of highly trained mercenaries and cyber warfare specialists, tracked the Serpent's Kiss to a remote asteroid field on the edge of the galaxy. They ambushed the frigate, launching a surprise attack that disabled its shields and crippled its engines. The Serpent's Kiss was trapped. Chapter 5: Fire and Fury. The battle was fierce and brutal. Valkyrie's team boarded the Serpent's Kiss, engaging Razorclaw and his crew in close-quarters combat. Plasma fire ripped through the corridors, and explosions rocked the ship. Lyra, her Vesperian agility a blur, fought with deadly precision. Her energy blades flashed, cutting down mercenaries with ruthless efficiency. Grom, his immense strength a force of nature, smashed through enemy ranks, his plasma rifle spitting fire. Zara, despite her lack of combat experience, used her strategic acumen to coordinate the defense, guiding her crew and exploiting the enemy's weaknesses. Kix, despite their fear, used their hacking skills to disrupt Valkyrie's team's communications and disable their weapons. Razorclaw, his Draconis ferocity unleashed, fought like a dragon incarnate. His claws tore through armor, and his plasma cannon incinerated enemies with ease. He moved with a speed and power that defied belief, a whirlwind of destruction. Valkyrie, a formidable opponent in her own right, engaged Razorclaw in a duel of skill and will. Her cybernetic enhancements gave her superhuman reflexes and strength, and her combat skills were honed to perfection. The battle raged on, neither side gaining the upper hand. The Serpent's Kiss was slowly being destroyed, but Razorclaw and his crew refused to surrender. Chapter 6: The Serpent's Sting. As the battle reached its climax, Kix discovered something disturbing in OmniCorp's network. The corporation wasn't just trying to recover the stolen data and eliminate Razorclaw, they were planning something far more sinister. "Captain, OmniCorp is preparing to launch a devastating cyber attack against the Kepler 186F system." Kix shouted over the comm, their voice filled with panic. "They're going to cripple their infrastructure and starve the population." Razorclaw's blood ran cold. OmniCorp was willing to sacrifice innocent lives to protect their interests. He knew what he had to do. He couldn't let OmniCorp destroy the Kepler 186F system. He broke off his duel with Valkyrie and rushed to the command deck. He activated the Serpent's Kiss's emergency jump drive, ignoring the damage that the ship had sustained. "Where are you going, Razorclaw?" Valkyrie demanded, her voice filled with rage. "To save lives," Razorclaw replied, his voice grim. "Something you wouldn't understand." The Serpent's Kiss jumped into hyperspace, leaving Valkyrie and her team stranded in the asteroid field. Chapter 7, The Reckoning. The Serpent's Kiss arrived at the Kepler 186F system just in time. OmniCorp's cyber attack was already underway, wreaking havoc on the system's infrastructure. Kix worked tirelessly, hacking into OmniCorp systems and disrupting their attack. Zara, using her strategic acumen, coordinated the defense, guiding the system's security forces. Razorclaw led a boarding party onto OmniCorp's flagship, a massive warship called the Dominator. He fought his way through hordes of security forces, reaching the ship's bridge. He confronted the ship's captain, a ruthless OmniCorp executive named Director Thorne. "You can't stop us, Razorclaw," Thorne sneered. "OmniCorp is too powerful. We will crush you and your allies." "You're wrong, Thorne," Razorclaw said, his voice filled with conviction. "OmniCorp's power is built on lies and exploitation. And tonight, those lies will be exposed." He released the rest of the stolen data to the galactic news feeds, along with the evidence of OmniCorp's planned cyber attack. The galaxy erupted in outrage. Planets aligned against OmniCorp, demanding justice. The Galactic Concord, which had long turned a blind eye to OmniCorp's activities, was forced to act. OmniCorp's empire crumbled. Chapter 8, A New Dawn. Director Thorne and other OmniCorp executives were arrested and brought to trial. They were found guilty of numerous crimes and sentenced to life imprisonment. The Kepler 186F system was saved, and its population was grateful for Razorclaw's intervention. The Serpent's Kiss, battered but not broken, limped back to its hidden base in the Kuiper Belt. The crew celebrated their victory, but they knew that their work was far from over. "There will always be injustices in the galaxy," Razorclaw said to his crew, his voice filled with determination. "But as long as we fight for what's right, there is hope for a better future." Valkyrie, abandoned by OmniCorp, haunted by her failure, found herself questioning her loyalties and the true nature of the empire she once served. The seeds of doubt had been planted. Chapter 9, The Whispers of Dissent. In the aftermath of OmniCorp's downfall, a ripple effect spread throughout the galaxy. Other corporations, seeing the consequences of their greed and corruption, began to reform their practices. Regulations were tightened, and protections for workers and consumers were strengthened. But the galaxy was still far from perfect. There were still powerful corporations and corrupt governments that exploited the weak and hoarded resources. And there were whispers of dissent, of revolutionary movements that sought to overthrow the old order and establish a more just and equitable society. The Serpent's Kiss became a symbol of hope for these movements, a beacon of defiance against the forces of oppression. Razorclaw and his crew continued their Robin Hood-esque operations, striking at the heart of the galaxy's wealthiest corporations and most opulent civilizations. They redistributed ill-gotten gains and advanced technology to struggling frontier colonies and oppressed populations. They inspired others to fight for what's right, to stand up against injustice. Chapter 10, The Price of Freedom. Years passed. The Serpent's Kiss became a legend, its name whispered in awe and fear throughout the galaxy. Razorclaw and his crew were celebrated as heroes by some, and vilified as criminals by others. But they remained true to their principles, unwavering in their commitment to galactic fairness. One day, the Serpent's Kiss received a distress call from a small, independent planet that was being invaded by a warlord. The planet's defenses were weak, and its people were desperate. Razorclaw knew that he had to help them. But he also knew that it was a trap. The warlord was a puppet of a powerful corporation that wanted to eliminate the Serpent's Kiss once and for all. He consulted with his crew. They knew the risks, but they were willing to fight. "We can't let them down, Captain," Zara said, her voice filled with conviction. "We have to help them." "Then we fight," Razorclaw replied, his voice grim. "We fight for their freedom." The Serpent's Kiss arrived at the planet and engaged the warlord's fleet. The battle was fierce and brutal. The Serpent's Kiss was outnumbered and outgunned, but it fought with a ferocity that surprised the enemy. Lyra, Grom, and the rest of the crew fought valiantly, defending the planet's people. Kix, using their hacking skills, disrupted the warlord's communications and disabled his weapons. Zara, using her strategic acumen, coordinated the defense, guiding the planet's security forces. Razorclaw, his Draconis ferocity unleashed, fought like a dragon incarnate. He led boarding parties onto enemy ships, tearing through their defenses and disabling their weapons. But the enemy was too strong. The Serpent's Kiss was heavily damaged, and many of its crew were wounded. Razorclaw knew that the end was near. He gathered his crew on the command deck. "We fought well," he said, his voice filled with pride. "We gave our all. We can be proud of what we have accomplished." "What about you, Captain?" Zara asked, her eyes filled with tears. "What will you do?" Razorclaw smiled. "I will go down with my ship," he said. "It is the Draconis way." He activated the Serpent's Kiss's self-destruct sequence. "Farewell, my friends," he said. "May the galaxy be a better place because of us." The Serpent's Kiss exploded, destroying the warlord's flagship and scattering his fleet. The planet was saved. Epilogue. The death of Razorclaw and the destruction of the Serpent's Kiss sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Some mourned their loss, while others celebrated their demise. But their legacy lived on. The movements they had inspired continued to grow, fighting for justice and equality. And Valkyrie, haunted by her past, joined the ranks of the rebels, using her skills and knowledge to fight against the forces of oppression. The galaxy was forever changed by the actions of Razorclaw and his crew. They had shown that even the smallest of individuals could make a difference, that even the most powerful corporations could be brought to justice. The legend of the Serpent's Kiss continued, a symbol of hope for a better future, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always light.